For the first 5 years of our marriage, I never questioned my wife, Emily. She was ambitious, hardworking, and proud of the career she had built. When she started staying late at the office almost every night, I believed every explanation she gave. Quarter-end reports, last-minute meetings, and urgent client calls became part of our daily conversations. I warmed up dinner alone more times than I could count, convincing myself that sacrifices were simply part of loving someone with big dreams. I never imagined that one tiny office chat notification would expose a secret capable of destroying everything we had spent years building together. At first, the changes were so subtle that I ignored them. Emily stopped answering my calls during the evenings, claiming her phone stayed on silent during meetings. Weekend plans were constantly canceled because she was too exhausted. Even our conversations became shorter, replaced by distracted smiles and quick kisses before she disappeared into another late shift. Friends insisted I was lucky to have such a dedicated wife, and I repeated those same words to myself whenever loneliness crept into our quiet home. Trust, I believed, meant refusing to let suspicion poison a good marriage. One rainy Thursday evening, Emily rushed into the shower after coming home nearly 2 hours later than usual. As she tossed her handbag onto the kitchen chair, her phone vibrated loudly on the table. Normally, I never touched it, but the screen lit up with a preview from her company's office chat application. The message read, "Don't worry, he still believes we're working late. Tomorrow will be easier." My heart froze before I even realized I had stopped breathing. The sender's name wasn't saved, only the initials DM, yet those 12 words shattered every excuse I had accepted for months. I told myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe the message referred to someone else's husband. Maybe it was part of an office joke I didn't understand. But as Emily stepped out of the bathroom and noticed me staring at her phone, the color drained from her face. Without saying a word, she snatched the device from the table, forced a nervous smile, and casually claimed it was just co-workers messing around. She laughed far too hard at her own explanation, and that laugh echoed inside my head long after we went to bed. Sleep never came that night. The following afternoon, instead of driving home after work, I parked across the street from Emily's office building. Employees slowly trickled out as the sun disappeared behind the city skyline. At exactly 7:15 p.m., Emily walked out the front entrance, not alone, but beside a sharply dressed man I had never seen before. They weren't holding hands or doing anything that screamed betrayal, but they looked far too comfortable together. They laughed, climbed into the same black SUV, and drove away. My stomach twisted as I followed them from a careful distance, terrified of what I was about to learn. The SUV didn't stop at another office or a client meeting. Instead, it pulled into the parking garage of a luxury apartment complex nearly 30 minutes away. I watched from across the street as Emily and the man entered the building together without hesitation, disappearing through the glass doors as though they had done it many times before. Every instinct told me to run inside and confront them immediately, but anger without proof would solve nothing. I waited in my car for nearly 2 hours before they finally emerged again, still laughing, still comfortable, and completely unaware that I had witnessed everything. When Emily finally returned home that night, she walked to the front door carrying takeout containers and wearing the same tired expression she had perfected over the past several months. "Another exhausting evening," she sighed while setting her purse on the counter. I looked into her eyes and realized I no longer recognized the woman standing in front of me. The office chat notification had started this nightmare, but what I had seen outside that apartment building confirmed something far worse. My wife wasn't just hiding late nights at work. She was hiding an entire second life, and I was finally determined to uncover every devastating truth, no matter how painful it became. The next morning, I quietly copied the apartment address into my notebook before leaving for work. Instead of confronting Emily, I decided to learn the whole truth. Over the next week, I noticed the same pattern repeat itself. Every evening, she claimed another emergency meeting had kept her late, and every evening she met the same man before driving to that luxury apartment. I took photos from a distance, saved the dates and times, and even discovered that the man's name was Daniel Morgan, a senior manager from her company. By then, my doubts had become undeniable facts, But I still couldn't understand why she had chosen to destroy our marriage instead of simply telling me the truth. Everything changed on Friday afternoon when I received an anonymous email from an address with no name attached. The subject line simply read, "You deserve to know everything." Attached were screenshots from the same office chat application. They showed months of private conversations between Emily and Daniel. They joked about fooling me with fake overtime, laughed at how easily I believed every excuse, and even discussed future vacations they planned to take together while pretending they were business trips. Reading each message felt like another knife twisting deeper into my chest. The woman I had trusted more than anyone had been living a carefully planned lie. Rather than exploding in anger, I contacted a divorce attorney the very next day. He advised me to remain calm, gather every piece of evidence, and protect myself legally before saying a single word. For 2 weeks, I followed that advice. I organized screenshots, photographs, financial records, and copies of Emily's repeated claims about working late. During that time, she continued acting as though nothing had changed, asking about my day, making coffee in the mornings, and kissing me goodbye before leaving for the office. Watching her perform a role of a loving wife, while secretly living another life, became the hardest part of the entire ordeal. The confrontation finally came on our 7th wedding anniversary. Emily expected a romantic dinner at home, but instead she found the dining table covered with neatly organized folders. Every photograph, every office chat screenshot, every timeline, and every lie was laid out in front of her. She stared at the evidence in complete silence, her hands trembling as she realized there was no explanation left to invent. Tears filled her eyes before she whispered, "I never wanted you to find out like this." For the first time in months, she stopped pretending, but her honesty had arrived far too late to say what she had broken. Emily admitted that what had started as harmless conversations with Daniel had slowly become an emotional relationship that crossed every boundary of our marriage. Instead of ending it, she kept inventing new excuses because she feared losing the comfortable life we had built together. She insisted she still cared about me, but every apology sounded empty after months of calculated deception. Trust isn't destroyed in a single moment. It crumbles with every lie, every hidden message, and every promise that quietly goes unkept. By the time she finally confessed, there was nothing left for me to believe. A month later, our divorce was finalized. I packed the last of my belongings and left the house with mixed emotions, heartbroken, exhausted, yet strangely relieved. Friends later told me that Emily's relationship with Daniel didn't last long once the excitement of secrecy disappeared. Hearing that brought me no satisfaction. Revenge couldn't erase the pain or restore the years we had lost. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my own life, reconnecting with family, return to old hobbies, and learning that healing begins the moment you stop chasing answers from people who chose dishonesty over loyalty. Looking back now, I no longer remember the marriage as ending on the day the divorce papers were signed. It ended the instant that single office chat notification appeared on Emily's phone, revealing the truth hidden behind months of late nights and empty excuses. One careless message exposed a secret that years of lies could no longer protect. It taught me that love can survive difficult times, long work hours, and countless challenges, but it cannot survive deception. In the end, the greatest betrayal wasn't that my wife worked late every night. It was that she looked into my eyes every evening, smiled, and expected me to believe a lie she had already chosen over our marriage.